The world's best aren't just at the Olympics. Round 11 of the IRL Indycar Series on the high banks of Kentucky Speedway ended with the top 5 representing different nationalities. Mexican legend Adrian Fernandez became the 4th first-time winner in the season, holding off the USA's Buddy Rice. The free-spirited Indy winner is hot after a championship. Britain's Dan Weldon challenged for most of the race but finished 3rd. This self-proclaimed neat freak style king is getting down and dirty as he chases his 3rd win. The Rookie of the Year points leader finished 4th. Koski Matsura from the land of the rising sun has shown no fear in his driving style, and he scores high marks from all the judges and personalities. Yes. Brazilian triathlete and current points leader Tony Kanaan took what the race gave him and chalked up his 10th consecutive top 5 finish. He is perhaps the most fit driver in the world and the most confident.
Deep inside of me, I believe I'm the best.
The Olympics pursues gold, but in the IndyCars, it's a silver cup. And mathematically, there are 15 drivers that can win silver in 2004. And their next quest comes today at the ultra-fast Pikes Peak International Raceway. And in fact, there is the peak, Pikes Peak. We welcome you to Pikes Peak International Raceway for the IRL IndyCar Series. Today, it's the Honda Indy 225. And you see the sky over the mountain range of the Rockies there? That's a very, very big concern. We've had thunderstorms middle of the afternoon the last 2 days. They're expecting that today as well. And so as a result, they've decided to start this race just as quickly as possible, and they have already decided that they will line this starting field up based on the practice times because qualification was washed out. Scott, what's going to do the race?
Well, it's a very difficult racetrack to begin with, Paul, because of the altitude over 5,300 feet above sea level. Thin air for these cars, for the engines. Very difficult for the drivers and engineers to set the cars up to make sure that they handle well in the turns.
And Jack, not easy on the guys.
Well, as Scott said, let's forget about the track permit. The sense of urgency just in the chase for the championship, now it's been exacerbated by the fact that we've got this rain impending out on the horizon. So now drivers that are mired in the back of the pack, they've got to go to the front and quick.
Yeah, it's a traditional thing, actually, that happens in Colorado this time of year, very much like the tropics, where the storms build up during the afternoon, and the one that they had come through yesterday had rain, sleet, and snow all involved in the same storm. Now we have a very special treat for the national anthem for you here today. Let's go down to PA announcer Pat Sullivan.
For the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Leanne Rhymes with a little help from the F-16s out of Buckley Air Force Base.
And the field begins now to have all personnel except those essential clear off the grid, ready for that most famous command. Jerry Punch.
Paul, there is a storm brewing here in the chase for the championship where Tony Kanaan holds a slim 50-point lead over Buddy Rice with just 5 events to go. Now, because of a storm yesterday washing out qualifying, they started by practice speeds, which means Kanaan will start inside of row 1 where he would probably have qualified on the pole. Now, Kanaan has led the most laps the last 2 outings at Michigan and Kentucky, but didn't win either one and lost as a result 14 points. He could ill afford for that to happen here today with a 50-point lead. Kanaan starts inside row 1. He's the hunted. The hunter back in row 6 is near Todd Harris.
Well, that's right, Dr. Punch. We all know that Buddy Rice likes to not show his cars until the very end. Well, yesterday may be a case where Mother Nature caught him holding a pair. Buddy Rice unable to go out and go for the pole, so he will start in the 11th position. I talked to him just moments ago before he got into the car. He said it doesn't bother him at all. They did miscalculate the weather just a little bit, but that's going to make the race just a little more exciting. And Jack Root, if there's anyone who can come from the 11th position to make a run in the lead, it's Buddy Rice.
You're right, Todd. And they also made some changes early on today to try and accomplish that by changing some things in the gearbox. But Scott, I think that right now the man that has the advantage in the chase for the championship has got to beat Buddy Rice. I've said it before. If you're running in second, you've got the most to gain and the least to lose. If you don't make it, well, you finish second. That's where you're running all season. He's still chipping off points by points, race by race.
Well, he is, Jack, but I got to think, and I disagree with you a little bit, simply because I think Andretti Green Racing right now has the upper hand. 4 drivers out there gaining information on the racetrack. Every place they go, they got 4 drivers in the top 6 here today. Tony Kanaan seems like a man that's focused. He remembers how he lost the championship last year. I think he's going to get it this year.
The starting grid is created as a result of practice times, not a qualifying session. So let's take a look at the Honda starting grid.
Tony Kanaan, car number 11.
Dan Weldon, car number 26.
Vitor Meira, car number 17.
Dario Franchitti, car number 27.
Hélio Castro Neves, car number 3.
Brian Hurdak, number 7.
Adrian Fernandez, car number 5.
Darren Manning, car number 10. Sam Hornish Jr., car number 6. Scott Dixon, car number 1.
And on row 6, there's Buddy Rice. 9 cars between his starting position and the front of the field. Thomas Scheckter lined up right behind him. Fell, Taylor, Carpenter, and Matsura are all making their first Pikes start. And Dixon, the only driver in the field to have won here, but it's now been more than a year since the defending series champion has won. And that's our Honda starting grid. Race analysis. Round 12 of 16, as we suggested. The pit window starts at lap 70.
And it may go as long as 75, Paul. Why? Because a lot of the crews are going to be looking at the dark clouds, see how close they are to the racetrack.
And guys, we talked about the high altitude here. All the problems have been down here in turns 3 for a lot of the drivers because a little bit of the wind. High altitude does not give the cars as much grip in the turns. Only 60, 70 feet wide here. The only straight portion turns 2 and 3, 1,350 feet long.
And again, because we're over 5,000 feet over elevation, the lack of air density will make a big difference. Those are the clouds building up just to the west of the track over the Rockies. Okay, guys, it's time as we take a look at some of these onboard cameras. I'll start with you, Jack. Who's your pick?
I'm going to pick Dario Franchitti. He's brought the same car that he ran here at Milwaukee. His confidence level is sky high, according to his crew.
And you, Scott?
I'm going to have to go with Kanaan. You know, I like it. He's been strong every session here. Andretti Green car has led every session of practice here. Those guys are hooked up.
I'm going with Vitor Meira. I have been for several races. I say he's going to win. We'll find out very quickly as Johnny Rutherford picks up the pace, and he'll bring the Chevrolet Pace truck on into the field, on into the pit area. The view over to Manning from Dixon. Green flag awaiting the front row. We're underway. Very little movement in the early on here in the first corner. They do go 4 wide. That's Scheckter up on the high side. Whoa, and a car in trouble already. And that's Rice. Well, if you're going to talk about what tension will do to an effort.
Okay, we see you.
Buddy Rice, the Indy champion, the guy that both Scott and Jack said had to do well here today and really had the upper hand in the game, and less than a lap he's against the wall.
Had to take chances starting in the 11th spot. Those chances came up on the wrong end of the stick, and now what does this do to the championship chase?
Well, only 50 points away. He's chipped away at, as you said, Jack, and right now 50 points for a win. You know, that stretch is going to come right now for Kanaan, but I'm wondering if this whole situation happened from that 4 wide that was coming out of turn 2, if he got sort of squeezed down, and now that shuffle that happened in front of him just took him out.
Well, Jerry Punch was moving in there closely. I'm wondering, if I were running Ray Hall Letterman, which will never happen, as we take a look at this, I'd give some serious thought to whether or not that car is repairable.
Absolutely. A really bit of a connection right there between 15 that you see spinning right now with Rice, who was actually working his way up from the lower side of the racetrack up to the top, ended up getting the left rear of Thomas Scheckter, who certainly had a lot of speed. When they come out there, watch the yellow car on the very top is already moving past the 15 Rice, who's spinning right now. So Rice was looking for that outside line. Scheckter had the speed, and certainly that's what you call a racing incident, guys.
And watch the blue and yellow car. That was the Felipe Giafoni car that was also involved there. And that's the Purex Chevrolet. So when you've got the guys in the back, and I think, Scott, you can also attribute this to the fact that some drivers may be thinking this race won't go the advertised distance.
Well, of course, given the fact that we're starting almost 25 minutes early, that everybody in the pits has got to be figuring that storm system might get here before the end of the day. And just with that incident, and as they run right now with Kanaan in front, as they run right now, Rice will lose 41 points. So he'll be now 91 behind, but still in second place. But that, of course, depends a great deal on what else happens during this day. Tony Kanaan, the points leader. Dan Weldon. Kanaan, he's the guy that feels he's the fittest of the field, fittest of a group of strong athletes. Buddy Rice needed a much better day than he's had in just a half a lap. And of course, Dan Weldon, the self-styled neat freak and fashion guru. This really helps his effort in the championship. Well, we got a half a lap into the record book at the Honda Indy 225 Pikes Peak International Raceway, and Buddy Rice, a man who had a desperate drive ahead of him starting back in the field, lost it in front of this great crowd here today. Now watch this.
Rice is right there, the Pioneer car, the 15 car on the left-hand side. Now watch, he starts to move over, gets surprised by Scheckter coming up fast on the right-hand side, goes to avoid him, the back end gets loose, and he's in towards the wall.
Now the report comes to us just as we wondered about. They are going to try and repair that car. At least that's the initial judgment. Don't forget, tonight on ABC, America's Funniest Home Videos, Extreme Makeover, Home Edition, and The Days. Signal from the starting stand is that there will be just one lap now to the green flag. Jerry Punch.
Guys, Steve Dixon just told me a moment ago that both ends of the car have damage, according to what Buddy Rice told him, but they have no choice. They're going to scramble to get this car fixed. This points championship is that important, and anything can happen, according to Steve, with 5 events to go.
Looks like pretty heavy damage on the right rear. Tony Kanaan picks the pace up. Green flag comes out. Remember, Scheckter moved so fast last time. Koski Matsura starts all the way in the back, but he was fast up until he got the wall yesterday. We haven't seen that kind of speed since then. The look over to Brian Herta. Adrian Fernandez, the look back now. On the move, the 27 car of Dario Franchitti. So Franchitti snatches second place away from his teammate, Dan Weldon. It's Andretti Green Racing, 1, 2, 3. Elio Castroneves to work on Adrian Fernandez. Clear. Wow. Dusted off Mira just like that.
The way Adrian's driving right now, guys, there's a lot of confidence with him inside that cockpit. When the car feels good, and you can feel it right away when you take the green flag, he knows he's got a good car. He knows he can march up towards the front. The key thing is to make no mistakes.
Elio Castroneves, Vitor Mira the 17 car. This is for 5th. See those that have been moving up in the field. And of course, Rice at -11. That's the lap count. That car's against the wall. Now back in the garage area. going to be some frantic repairs on that. Rules do allow it. Helio Castroneves, in fact, did it with great success as we watch him move to the inside of Mira there. Now we're watching Thomas Scheckter, 10th place. That's Manning just ahead of him. Herta just up ahead of Manning. Take a look at Townsend Bell just comes down on the inside. From Bell to Scheckter.
Now this racetrack has developed into a two-groove racetrack. You're going over a patch that you see right there now. Very difficult for the drivers. They say the car starts to slide a little bit for them, but it's bumpier down below. Some guys have their car set up good on the bottom. Some guys like it on the top. Two preference lines, but we do have two passing lanes.
Scheckter takes Manning for 9.
Next car back is Taylor. He's right on your gearbox, looking inside.
Now Schechter's working on Herta. Oh, Schechter's on a tear. So for that matter, it's Townsend Bell who's trying to work on Darren Manning. Townsend Bell had a problem yesterday. During the regular practice session, the pit boxes here are very slick. And this was Bell when he came into the pits.
You see, Paul, the difference in the color, that's concrete where the pit box is, and the crew have told me that it's very, very slick because the aggregate, the pieces of rock that make up the concrete, are so small it's like walking on a garage floor.
And of course, they've all been cautioned by the IRL about that. But lest we forget, there have been more than a few pit incidents the past 2 races. Jerry Punch?
And Buddy Rice has walked out of the infield care center okay. Buddy, what happened out there?
Yeah, it's hard to tell. You know, it's just the start, and those are the things that happen when you start in the middle of the pack like that. I'm not sure what happened. Just stepped out on the exit of 2. Just could have been the way all the air was traveling or whatever. But you know, it's unfortunate for our team, and it's not very good for the championship right now.
How bad is the car damaged?
It's got the right rear corner on it, so I don't know if we'll be able to fix it or not. But we'll have to wait and see. But I doubt it.
Buddy Rice out of the hospital. The crew, by the way, now frantically moving behind us. They are going to try to fix what we're in here now as maybe some under tray damage. They're going to do their best to fix the car and get him back out as soon as they can.
Scott Goodyear, what kind of things could happen to the car that would render it totally unfixable?
Well, the key thing is if it had such an impact that it actually has cracked the transmission or the bell housing, or such an impact that it might have even cracked the engine block. And those guys will not know that until they get the car into the garage in what they call the high stands, get the under tray off of it from underneath and look at it and make that assessment.
Hey, Scott, what they're doing back here in the car right in the garage right now is the car just now got here. It came in through the officials still on the tow, and the crew now scrambling around. That's Ricardo Nault talking with Steve Dixon, the team manager, about the possibility of fixing it. And you're exactly right. Damage on the right rear under tray area, and I'm not sure from hearing the conversations if they're going to have a shot at fixing it. But the Penske's here are having a pretty good run early on, guys.
Sam Hornish working on Helio Castroneves. We mentioned before, to do it more completely, Helio Castroneves in the championship fight 2 years ago. Penske team took his damaged car back and worked, I think, almost an hour on the car, got it back in, but it was a few points and it made a difference. Hornish takes the inside. Castroneves doesn't give it away yet.
But there you saw the run getting off of turn 3 and 4, the high line carrying more speed and taking the advantage of the draft from Castroneves and slicing him underneath it. Sort of reminds me of Miami, the very first race.
Marlboro Team Penske side by side. That first race of the year at Miami, it was Hornish's only victory this season, and they were racing very much like this. Jerry Punch.
Well, the news is not good for the Buddy Rice fans who were hoping he'd have a run at the title. Word is too much severe damage here at the right rear of the car. The under tray is split. This car is not repairable. Buddy Rice is done for the day.
And a massive impact on the Indy champions' quest for a championship in the IRL IndyCar Series. That's the right rear that caught the wall so hard and put him out with 1.5 lap in the race. We welcome you back to Pikes Peak, the IRL IndyCar Series. Dario Franchitti just took the lead seconds ago in the Honda Indy 225. They're on a 3-week rip, constant racing for the IRL IndyCar Series. And next week, we'll be back again on ABC Sports as Tony Kanaan tries to continue his pursuit of a championship. It'll be the Firestone Indy 225, the 100th race of the IRL at Nazareth, Pennsylvania. Coverage at 2:11 Pacific here on ABC Sports. So as we mentioned, the 27 car Dario Franchitti, who's now working in traffic with Tora Takagi just ahead of him, took the lead, and it was a very crowded race course.
Watch this. 27 Franchitti on the lower side. Both he and Kanaan are going around Carpenter, the car that's in the middle. Now Franchitti's got the smart move. He's on the low side, got a good drive off of 2, ended up getting past all those cars in traffic, including his teammate.
Now, Dario Franchitti and Tony Kanaan already know that Buddy Rice is out of the race. There are no secrets. I was wondering if Franchitti would go to the lead or whether he would lay back, knowing that he can allow Kanaan to get more points if he let Kanaan win and lead the most laps. I guess we've got the answer. There are no team orders in Andretti Green Racing.
Well, I have to tell you, as we look at Adrian Fernandez, who's running 3rd right now, Jack, I'll have to say that the mindset right now of Tony Kanaan is, guys, nobody hit me, no mechanical problems. I've got a great chance here to stretch my lead in the championship. He's actually more nervous in that cockpit right now, Jack, than he is if he was actually running in the Indy 500.
Well, the good news on one hand for Andretti Green Racing is that you've got 2 of your cars up on the front. Weldon's faded a little bit down to 5th, but the bad news is that you got 2 of your cars right together and racing. The points, as they were coming in to the start of this race, and Tony Kanaan, who has led over 800 laps now this season, but Buddy Rice is going to take a hit being out so early. Dario Franchitti notched his first victory this year. Now at least hoping for number 2.
You know, the guy that's very strong right now, watching him come through the whole pack, is Adrian Fernandez. We saw this last week. 41 years old, a lot of experience in racing open wheel cars. Really a bit of a craftsman, I think, when it comes down to ovals. He's done very well on oval racing. Right now, he looks like he's got a car that's working well. He's going to be contender here very shortly with Franchitti and Kanaan.
Scott, is that first time to win factor really that strong? You hear everybody talk about it quite a bit. Adrian now scored his first win, being pursued right now by Sam Hornish Jr. as they come up and around last year's winner here and the defending series champion, that they're actually talking about giving a black flag to Dixon right now in race control.
Brian Barnhart in the meeting this morning, who's the head of the IRL, said anything over 10 miles an hour off the pace, you got to come in, make a change, fix the car, get out there and go faster.
Well, Dixon's last lap was at 143.3 miles an hour compared to the leader's 163. You heard him report he's on his way in. Always will refuel it. That way, whatever else you have to do, the car's ready to go. New tires there and on the way back out. You would think the problem would be far more serious than that.
A big change can come from adjusting tire pressures of the car is pushing or it's loose, but with the speed change that he had, I would have to say the car was probably loose. Watch for a big tire pressure change. Let's see if he speeds up.
27 car Dario Franchitti leading his 5th race of this season and the first time that he has led since his win at Milwaukee.
I got to tell you why I picked Franchitti, Paul. We talked about the fact that this is his same car that he drove to victory lane in Milwaukee for his first career IRL win.
Same physical car.
Same car. As they go to the line, and we'll see who is the quickest of the field right now. But it was the crew that let me in on a secret. They said, watch Franchitti in practice. When Dario passes cars, that's when he's the happiest. But right now, it looks like the Toyota power plant of car number 6. Sam Hornish Jr.'s on a run. He's the fastest. Franchitti's only 2nd quickest.
And look down the pylon there a little bit. 10 car is, of course, Dixon, 152.4. So a little something going. It'll take him a lap or 2 to get up to his full potential.
Listen to the throttle right now as you ride along when we get on board with drivers and see how much they can keep their foot on the gas. Here's the Firestone telemetry. You can see the miles per hour up here on the right-hand side. Now the driver also sees that down his cockpit on the steering wheel, which he gets to look at his electronic outlet. Now look at the arrow all the way over here to the right. Tire temperature is probably up there. Tire pressure certainly is at the max right now. They'll probably adjust that during his next pit stop.
A.J. Foyt, the fourth, into the pits. Todd Harris.
Well, the word on Scott Dixon, the defending champion here at Pikes Peak, is that they made a wing adjustment. All they can really do right now is the tire pressure and the wing adjustment. Chip Ganassi are not happy the way the car's running. He qualified 10th, and they're hoping for a lot better.
Well, it hasn't gotten all that much better. Last lap around, Dixon at 147 miles an hour, and again, the leaders are ticking them off at 159 plus. Foyt the fourth, that was in early, so they were obviously working on a problem with the car as well. Franchitti, Kanaan, Fernandez, Hornish, Castroneves. Those are the top five. The Penske cars making a strong impression on the top five once again. But as we have mentioned, it's a little bit more of a racers and a handler track than it is a horsepower track. But you can be assured of one thing, everybody out there is getting it down right now. Back at Pikes Peak International, one of the charitable functions that the IRL drivers are doing this week.
Pikes Peak International Raceway sponsors Feed the Hungry, so some of the IRL drivers chipped in at some local Mexican restaurants on Thursday, and all the proceeds went to that fine charity.
Something that's pretty common within the IRL is we welcome you back to the Honda Indy 225 Pikes Peak International. Dario Franchitti, the 27 ARC-X car, is the leader of the run, but look right behind him. There's Sam Hornish Jr. in the Marvo Team Penske machine. He moved into second place, coming around Fernandez, and now Tony Kanaan and Fernandez hammer at one another. A.J. Foyt, the fourth, on the pit road again. Todd Harris, he's suffering some serious problems.
No question about that, Paul. These Firestone Firehawks, they were estimating they'd get about 60 laps on him, but AJ the fourth is already in for a second. Take a look at these tires. Look at the buildup on here. He is running too high of a line, so he's picking up all the debris, all the marbles up there, and these tires only got him about 46 laps. He's back in once again.
Fight for the lead, and it's Sam Hornish Jr. by a couple of feet. Now he has the lead. Sam Hornish Jr. takes over from Dario Franchitti. This will probably, though, put him, what would you say, Scott, 12, 13 laps maybe from the first stop, maybe a bit longer.
Maybe a bit longer because we had that yellow at the beginning, but it's interesting for me to watch this. Tells me that Sam Hornish has probably made some in-cockpit adjustments with his car. So we see A.J. Foyt the fourth now climbing out of his car. He's certainly done for the day. But right now you have to believe that Hornish is happy with his car. Tells you his car is running good on light tanks. You have to watch as the race progresses to see after the pit stop if he can keep the speed up. If he can, it's going to be a tough guy to beat today.
Hornish has got quite a bit of traffic in front of him right now as he comes around Takagi. Alex Barron just ahead of him in the Red Bull car. And now Felipe Giafoni next in line for Hornish. And of course, on the 1 mile track, traffic often plays more of a part than horsepower or driver's ability. The ability to read that traffic is important. There's Dixon down on the low side.
Sam got boxed in, had nowhere to go with a slower car. Dixon on the lower side, almost 15 miles an hour off the pace. Wisely got out of the throttle.
Dixon's still having a big problem. He's down at a low to mid 140s at best.
What he's trying to do, Paul, is wait till the next yellow so he can come in and make some adjustments on the car. If he does it again underneath this green, he'll certainly lose more time, more laps on the racetrack. But right now, Brian Barnhart's going to keep an eye on him also.
Elio Castroneves working on Dario Franchitti for second. So Team Penske absolutely on the move. And they have plenty of traffic ahead. Roger Penske, the captain, just stands quietly, gets quietly on the radio. That's the Penske way. Keep your cool. You know he's smiling inside. So Penske cars, 1-2. Now the reports are coming up that the teams are thinking maybe lap 80. We're, of course, on lap 68 right now. And get with the yellow early for Buddy Rice that took him out of the race. They're going to get maybe to the 80th lap for their first stop.
They can get as much as 2 to 3 miles a gallon. And when they get under yellow, they can double that, Paul. So they like to see yellows early. They also like to see those yellows because they want to stretch this green flag stop as long as they can, because they're still concerned about rain around here in Pikes Peak.
Yeah, exactly, Jack. I was just going to say that. The sunshine that is bearing down on these cars and this racetrack right now kind of belies the weather that lies off to the east over the Rockies. So Hornish, Castroneves, 1-2, the Penske cars. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC station. Marlboro Team Penske remains out in front in the Honda Indy 225 at Pikes Peak International. Sam Hornish Jr. comes into the pits for the Panther team. His teammate was in just a moment ago. Todd?
Well, Thomas Schechter coming in, having a great run thus far. A quick stop, in and out, and he comes in a near miss right by Helio Castroneves, but he exits quickly and cleanly.
And Castroneves on pit road for his scheduled stop. They will not change a thing on Helio Castroneves' car. They want to get it full of fuel. It has been a year since Castroneves has gone to victory lane in Nazareth in August a year ago. And now his teammate, Sam Hornish, having a great run. Sam has not won since the opener at Homestead. And now the captain, Roger Penske, waves into a stop here in the pits. The crew now going to work on the car. They talked about an air pressure change, but Sam said nothing whatsoever. Down and away for Hornish.
So Franchitti picks the lead back up as a result of those stops. And there he is. Now we're going to get that comparison between the engine manufacturers, Scott.
Well, right now, it's actually teams are starting to look at things a little differently. They want to try and stretch it to make the guys go as long as possible because they always want to do it underneath a yellow if it would happen.
Here comes Castroneves. Whoa. With Scott Sharp just ahead of him.
Castroneves was smart, let Franchitti go because Franchitti still has to come in the pits.
Tony Kanaan on the pit road. Todd Harris.
Tony Kanaan in the pits here. Kanaan, routine stop that will make no changes whatsoever. And you hear Ken Green in the background saying, go, go, go. Tony had backed off to save some tires.
So of the Andretti Green team, Kanaan becomes the first of that group. Here is Vitor Mira, the lone entry now for the Ray Hall Letterman group. Important race for them, though, Jack. A sponsor located close by.
Vitor Mira has signed a 2-year contract with Centrex, and they're based in Denver, Colorado, as Speedy Gonzalez pulls onto pit road. The winner last week, Adrian Fernandez.
And he is loving the way this car is handling Jack Arute, the Kentucky winner, on a roll. This team has some momentum and a very, very good pit stop for Fernandez as Dario Franchitti heads to you, Todd.
Well, Franchitti just made a stop, and so far he says the car is running great. They've scrambled to signal back to the pit straight. And no, again, we've got a fuel problem again. The hose is hooked up, but no fuel's running to Dario. Stop the car. That could have been a disaster, Paul.
What is going on with that?
The key thing in my mind, guys, has to be this. Guys have different systems. Penske uses the same system. They go by radios. You need the guy to stand in front of the right front corner. As a driver, I can tell you, if you can monitor off this guy that's right here, when he is finished, if he can stand in front of you and tell you when to leave, that's what you need to do. He gets to see if the fuel men are pulled out, which is right here. Now, he's got his hand up. He's still got his hand up. And that one falls on Dario. That one there falls on Dario.
It looks like they got the return line stuck. They both started to pull. We'll back it up and look at it.
They got to
again.
work on their signaling. Watch his hand. Maybe as soon as his hands move, Dario thinks it's time to go. See right there. You got to come up with a situation where you don't move your hand, because that, as a driver, that's what you're looking for.
And we may in fact have another injury. We'll check on this and get you the full information. I believe in the system where the person up on one of those stands who can see the whole car and has the radio can say go, and until they're ready to go, don't say anything. Ed Carpenter in the pits.
Well, I guess I'm telling you, I maybe disagree. I understand what you're saying. For me, right now, you're looking at the right front man. He sees everything. As a driver, you're looking past him down the pit lane. I like that system there where you can actually see what's going on. It's always better with actually a motion from your right front man, whoever that is, versus a radio.
Thomas Scheckter goes by. He's third place as Carpenter heads back into the action. So with 88 laps now into the record books, looking on lap 89, it's Toyota, Chevy at the top of the field. And that shows you what a great equalizer running on a short track can be.
Anything that can go wrong has gone wrong with this car, the Pennzoil Panther team with Thomas Scheckter. He's tried new superstitions, changing his gloves. You see, it's yellow, and it's also a black on one side. He's had the good, the bad, and the ugly. But all of it can't fall on the shoulders of Thomas Scheckter. He's an outstanding athlete. He's been training with Carmichael Training here in Denver, the same people that train six-time Tour de France winner Lance Armstrong. Thomas Scheckter is a specimen. The one thing I haven't figured out how they can get him, luck.
I spent some time with Thomas up at his house this week, and it's amazing how focused on the competition he is and how philosophically, in fact, can be about it. Well, trying now to overhaul Mark Taylor, the 13 car. That's the leader of the race, Sam Hornish Jr. And his Penske teammate is right behind him, Bobby Rahal. Only one car in the race. That belongs to Mira. A wonderful crowd here today for the Honda Indy 225, the IRL IndyCar Series at Pikes Peak. Don't let those blue skies fool you. There's supposed to be some storms coming in here. Don't forget, ABC's Monday Night Football officially opens its 35th anniversary season. Super Bowl champion Patriots take on the Indianapolis Colts. Plus, the NFL opening kickoff celebrates the new season with a special with the likes of Elton John and Destiny's Child, Lenny Kravitz, Jessica Simpson. It all happens Thursday night, September 9th.
And Paul, a lot of guys in the IRL be watching that opener on Monday Night Type Football. They held their fantasy football draft here in the infield on Saturday morning. There were crew members and there were also officials, and they all have their teams.
Sam Hornish Jr. and his teammate Elio Castroneves are running 1-2 Marlboro Team Penske. Thomas Scheckter is third. In fourth place is this number 27 car. That's Dario Franchitti. And as you saw a moment ago on his pit stop, once again a miscue, launching the car at least a few feet a bit early, but it may have caused an injury, Todd.
Well, you're exactly right, Paul. It could have been an absolute disaster. The injured man in the pit is Mike Miller. Now, he is the jack man for the 27 car of Dario Franchitti. Initial reports are it's a twisted right knee. I talked to the doctor. He said he got it wrenched in there pretty good. They're going to take him into the hospital, take a look at it. We'll get a further report in a moment.
Scott, what kind of effect on the team? They've got him away from the car right now. Obviously, they can slide somebody in there, but you didn't have great team coordination to start with.
Well, certainly the next stop will go a little slower. They'll try to make sure everything is perfect. If it costs them an extra second or two, better than putting the car out of the race or injuring a crew member. You see right now, Castroneves is really hooked up. He's able to drive high or low anywhere he wants.
They finally have decided that Scott Dixon, with laps at 140 to 143 miles an hour, the defending champion of this race and series champion, is done, out of the car, finished. Thomas Scheckter, third place behind the Penske team. Goes around Mark Taylor's. That's Greg Ray's operation. Greg stepping away from the car earlier in the season, putting Taylor in there. Adrian Fernandez, he is 5th behind Dario Franchitti.
And just a couple of moments ago, Adrian Fernandez locked horns with what could have been disaster. Here you're riding on board with Adrian, and that is Alex Barron on the outside. Now watch. Oh, can you get any closer than that? They actually did touch there, Paul.
Exactly. That's as close as you can get. In recent years of the IRL, it's been pretty amazing to me. You know, the rule with an open wheel car used to be that you never can touch somebody else. Now they seem to get away with it all the time.
Well, the side pods on the car, that's the area that's in between the two wheels. This area right in here has grown over time. It's actually now larger, and so when the wheels are sort of locked in, a lot of times you don't end up running on each other, end up launching themselves. So right now I would have to say I don't want to see drivers do a call because there's going to be a big one day.
Sam Hornish Jr., the red and white number 6 out of the Penske stable. Penske cars run 1 and 2, Jerry Punch.
And Paul, I just saw Roger Penske do something that I have not seen since Homestead, Miami in February, and that is smile. He's been smiling, looking around, talking to Sam Hornish lap after lap. Sam loves the race car. They made a slight air pressure adjustment. Sam said it's working flawlessly. And the word is here they will go to lap 156, pit one more time, and make it all the rest of the way to the checkered flag. One more scheduled stop if we stay green for Sam Hornish at 156.
Tora Takagi is in.
Do you understand what he said, Paul?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I just was wondering. Speaking in Japanese, as Tora Takagi likes to do. You gonna translate, Paul?
So what they, yeah, that means it's over.
I think he's saying.
Tora has used this technique of going through for translation, even when talking with engineers. So you can imagine how difficult, in fact, that's been in the team from time to time.
But there is a universal language, Paul. He's not happy. You can tell by the tone of his voice.
Tone of the voice can make a big difference. Back at the front, Hornish Jr., 113 laps right now, 225 on this mile track. And is there any worse news for the rest of the field than Hornish out in front on a short track? Todd Harris.
Well, Paul, I'm here with Scott Dixon, the winner of last year's race. Scott went wrong. It looked like from the very get-go the car just wasn't up to speed.
Yeah, we just had big problems from the start of the race. The car being really loose. We changed a few things for the race after the warm-up. I just couldn't get any traction off the turns, so it kept getting really loose.
You got to be somewhat disappointed not being able to defend your crown, especially here at Pikes Peak where you ran so well last year.
Yeah, it's pretty frustrating. It's been a really tough year for the team, so we need to try and get a little better for Nazareth and at least stay out there and be competitive.
All right, good luck to you. Paul?
So crossing the halfway point of the race with Hornish Jr. out in front of Castroneves, Scheckter, Franchitti, Fernandez, Weldon, and then Tony Kanaan has faded down to 7th. But right now, the worst nightmare of almost everybody except that man. Out in front, Sam Hornish on a short track. Will he stay there? Well, we welcome you back. I'm Paul Page with Scott Goodyear, Jack Arute, down on the pits, Todd Harris and Jerry Punch. And you can see that Sam Hornish has slowing down considerably. That's because the caution has just come on for the second time today. The first when Buddy Rice caught the wall on the first lap. There's his wife, Crystal. The reason that it's out now is debris in turn 2, and they're gonna not only go out and just clean up the debris. They want to send the sweepers out and make sure that they have all of those rubber marbles, as we call them, off of the racetrack before they go back to high-speed racing. But it has been 43, 44 laps. There's the sweeper since the last pit stop. So I imagine this will also split the strategy. Some will come in, others will wait.
Well, a lot of teams and drivers, Paul, were really expecting to maybe go about another 15 laps and then pit and maybe go to the end of the race. So this is going to be an interesting situation. If we have another yellow, as we look at a very busy pit lane right now, they might be able to come in and get a splash of fuel and leave without losing some time on the racetrack. But that's going to come up to team strategy here very shortly to the end of the race.
Yeah, and you had mentioned at starting, you have a multi-car team. You can split that strategy, and that's the advantage. Let's go to Todd Harris.
Well, Thomas Schechter's going to come in. He's going to gamble a little bit. A moment ago on the radio, they said, "Great job, kid. You're doing awesome." So the morale in the pit of the Pennzoil Panther team has been boosted, absolutely. And you guys are right. It's new tires, a splash of fuel, a very clean out. Let's check in with Dr. Punch.
Sam Hornish in and out, no changes whatsoever on that car. However, his teammate Elio Castroneves had a 1.5 turns of wing out in the front. Castroneves needs a major adjustment. Hornish feeling good.
And Tony Kanaan, the 11 car, that green and white car, comes out of the pits and comes out perilously close to his teammate, the 26 car of Dan Weldon. Dario Franchitti, they must have been a little hesitant. Now remember, they don't have Mike Miller on the crew right now because Mike, last report, still back at the hospital. So a little crew change up and Franchitti drops a position.
Well, we talked about the next time he comes in on the 27 car with Franchitti, probably will take things just a little bit slower, let everybody an extra second or two to be able to do their work, and that's exactly what they did.
Now there is Thomas Schechter just ahead of Franchitti, the yellow number 4 Pennzoil car. It'd be hard to find a more focused driver in the series than Thomas. I visited the son of the '79 world champion at his home this week. Our time together was actually slotted in a typical Schechter day, held right after he finished a 14-mile ride and was hurrying up because he was anxious to get to the gym. Schechter is happiest when engaged in any kind of athletic training, striving to keep his mental toughness in sync with his stamina. He's needed every ounce of his reserve since inheriting the coveted seat at Panther when two-time champion Sam Hornish Jr. vacated for Team Penske. Although there has been only one rain delay race this year, a black cloud seems to follow this team from race to race. But not all of the woes can be contributed to the driver.
Me, it's just been bad luck, but sometimes I hate saying that because sometimes it sounds like I'm trying to make excuses for no results. There's nothing I can go home and work on to make myself better, and sometimes that's a little bit frustrating.
So just when Schechter was finally enjoying some wide-open mash throttle racing in Michigan, a two-race pit nightmare was about to unfold. Thomas Schechter, the bright yellow car, in trouble going in. Oh, and you got a man pinned down in the left front.
Since about the 120 lap mark, he has been running flawless. The car has been fantastic, and this is exactly what Team Pennzoil and Chevrolet was looking for the South African. With his dad and brother looking on, Thomas Schechter is looking to do something special. And the fuel valve stuck. The fuel valve stuck.
You haven't considered getting an exorcist in or anything?
I've considered everything, and believe me, I have considered everything.
What have you actually done? Is there any superstition that you followed?
Oh, I changed colors on my boots. Apparently, I think the number 4 on its own is unlucky in China. So I wrote a little PS, Thomas Schechter, just in front of each of my numbers on my car.
Hold your wrist up there and show me those bracelets.
These two, actually, this was a fan given to me in Michigan, and this is from my little sister that also gave it to me for good luck. I'll wear it until it happens.
Willing to do everything in his power to prepare for Pikes Peak, Thomas turned to the coaching guru of cycling, Chris Carmichael, the personal trainer of 6-time Tour de France winner Lance Armstrong. Schechter's cycling style, diet, and mental approach to competition were all analyzed before setting out on an 18-mile ride alongside Carmichael training system coach Greg Griffin. Capping off the day was a brutal 3.2-mile steep grade up Cheyenne Mountain. His time, an impressive 22 minutes. Hopefully that cloud didn't make the descent. Thomas Schechter having a better day than recently, currently running in 3rd place.
The one thing a driver cannot control is luck, and I think that's one of the things that has been plaguing Thomas Schechter ever since he came to this ride. And don't forget, Sam Hornish was the ultimate driver, and they looked for a replacement, and they got Thomas Schechter.
You know, we mentioned what the weather guessers had said, and we actually started this race almost 25 minutes early because they were afraid of this line of thunderstorms and rain that lies off to the west, but it still remains pretty far to the west. Pueblo there's on the other side of the Rockies, actually, or Pueblo south of Colorado Springs, and we're just north of that, so it's still within the area. Todd Harris.
Paul Page, don't adjust your screen. The man in the Jim Beam Klein Tools fire suit is from Dan Weldon's pit. He'll be the new Jackman for Dario Franchitti for the rest of the way. And they got plenty of people to fill in for him over at Dan Weldon's 26 car, so they're good here. Other news, Mike Miller, the Jackman who was hurt when Dario Franchitti inadvertently rolled out. They're saying now he's got a twisted right knee, but they are going to x-ray it, and that's where he is right now. Paul?
Well, we certainly hope that Mike is not injured. We're getting ready to come back to green. Jerry Punch.
Hey guys, these guys in the pits here are doing a great job for Marlboro Team Penske, but maybe the MVP of the day is not even here right now. That is Roger Penske's pilot talking to Roger, saying the weather looks good, we should be okay for the checkered flag. Weather moving away, and we're headed back to green flag.
So the green flag comes out. Penske's team has an eyeball on the weather in the sky. Thomas Schechter wants to take positions away from Penske. You're on board, Schechter. 3 cars, Castroneves.
And underneath all of that, when it's happening, is Dario Franchitti slides underneath both those guys when they were battling.
Great move by Franchitti as he comes up into second place. Tony Kanaan now goes to work on Helio Castroneves, trying on the inside. And Kanaan has Castroneves into fourth. Franchitti goes for the lead. Dario Franchitti takes the lead back from Sam Hornish Jr. Schechter third, Kanaan fourth. There's your leader, Franchitti. Hornish, there's Schechter, there's Tony Kanaan. Kanaan, while the fight for the lead was going on, made a couple of good moves, including one on Helio Castroneves. So it's Honda, Toyota, Chevy, the top 3.
Paul, it seems like Tony Kanaan is strongest when he has new tires on and a full load of fuel on. It was interesting to see in this morning's warm-up that just about halfway through they decided to change springs and roll bars in the car, which is all around the suspension, to see if they could work it and make it happier a little bit better on the racetrack. I'm not quite sure what was wrong with it. Maybe he knew that it wouldn't last through this long fuel run. We'll have to see if he keeps his speed up or if he's going to fall off as the fuel loop burns off and the car gets lighter.
Are there 4 tougher drivers in the Indy Racing League's IndyCar Series than the front 4 right now in this race?
No, well, one of them might be Fernandez. What do you think? We want to look at Fernandez on the restart. Check this out.
Way up high into that gray area, the marbles that they talk about. No grip up there.
Yeah, but he saved it. Adrian Fernandez does have the fastest lap for the Target Fastest Lap Award thus far in the race.
And Jack, you talk about the toughest drivers are all running up front, as we see as we ride along here with Adrian Fernandez. That's how tough this series has got right now. Anybody can win the top 10.
So the battle has gone back and forth between Michael Andretti's car and Franchitti and Penske's. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC station. Fall season is getting ready to fire up, and this fall on ABC, they survived the crash. But can they survive the unknown? Lost. It premieres Wednesday, September 22nd on ABC. The 27 car Arca X machine out of the Andretti Green Racing stable. Dario Franchitti won his first race at Milwaukee. He might be on his way to doing it again. 147th lap of the 225-mile race here at Pikes Peak International Raceway.
As we watch Dario Franchitti now lead, it's interesting to note that the 2 Penske cars on the restart were up front, but after a fuel load is filled up and new tires, the cars are not as strong. We did notice before how strong they were at the end of the run. So the strategy is going to have a big play here right now. As the fuel load burns off and the car gets light, as we discussed before, will these guys be able to actually continue going towards the front?
And Scott Goodyear, that's exactly what Roger Penske just said a moment ago to his driver, Sam Hornish. Roger on the radio said, remember, Sam, we are very good on the long run. We're fine where we are. Good pacing right now. Long runs. This one's ours.
Well, Tony Kanaan and Sam Hornish battled back and forth for a third. Kanaan had it. Hornish takes it back. They close on Scheckter. You know, the difference between somebody like Hornish or Tony Kanaan and ordinary people is all in attitude. And we asked Tony Kanaan just about that attitude. You'd think the pressure is on him, and he doesn't see it that way at all.
What we have in this team is so special. I don't think I will never forget. And I don't want this time to win. It's like the best movie that you watch in your career, the best time you spend it with your family. You say, if I could freeze this moment, I would love to live forever.
Franchitti, Scheckter, Hornish, Kanaan. Those are the top four.
Talk about no pressure. Tony Kanaan just absolutely enjoying the moment. You know, he bought a dog at the beginning of the season. The Westie. You know what he named it? Lucky Speed.
Really creative. nice piece of work. Now, here's something that we really need to pay attention to. Darren Manning, Brian Herta, Jacques Lazier, they are now due for a pit stop because they didn't stop when everybody else. They took a gamble. You ride with Manning.
And the gamble was they want to not stop simply because they got a wave around during that last yellow caution. So now they're back on the lead lap, on the tail end of that lead lap. The problem is for them now is that they actually need another yellow to come out so they can pit underneath yellow and not lose time on the racetrack under green.
And we take another look at our Firestone telemetry, this time on Darren Manning's car.
As we saw before, this arrow is maybe about 3/4 the way through the graph right now. Maybe the tire pressure is a little lower, probably a little bit better for the Firestones right now. Watch the miles per hour. It's a 1 mile racetrack around here, and these guys are going 168 miles an hour. Pretty impressive.
You know, compared to the 200 mile an hour speeds that we have seen over the past several weeks on the super speedway, now here we're on the short track, and they're running 164.7, but believe me, that's flying. That is still very fast. Let's go to Todd Harris.
All right, thank you very much, Paul. Well, when your resume boasts a 6-time Tour de France champion, you're a pretty good trainer. Chris Carmichael of Carmichael Training Systems here in Colorado Springs has been working with Thomas Scheckter. My first question is, Thomas Schecter's in pretty good shape, isn't he?
Thomas is in very good shape, you know. He's much better than I anticipated, and really, to be an Indycar driver, you really got to be a good athlete.
Well, talk about your experience. You got a chance to get in an Indycar, and you've been at the Olympics, you've trained with Lance, you've been down the Alpe d'Huez. How did it compare?
I'll tell you, it was one of the most exciting things I ever did in my life. After we did one lap, I was like, well, maybe we should just take it in. By the end of the fourth lap, I was like, hey, this is a blast.
What are the chances we'll see you and your friend Lance Armstrong at our finale in Texas?
That'd sure be fun. You know, Lance is a big fan, and
whoa, car to the wall.
Texas, so
and it's Hornish.
All right, thank you, Chris. Paul, we got problems.
Yeah, Sam Hornish into the wall.
You okay?
That's Roger Penske was asking about him. He was in some very tight company, and you just got a glimpse of him darting off the side of the screen. Third yellow, second crash of the day. The first crash was on lap 1, Buddy Rice. The car was not repairable. His wife Crystal just wants to make sure that he's okay, which we all do. All right, Scott, let's take a look at this. It looked like he was coming up on Herta.
There's a fair amount of traffic there. Remember, the cars in front always give a little bit of dirty air, but I have to tell you right there, the car looks like it just starts to walk itself around. Scheckter and Sharp, who were in front of him, had enough of a lead, shouldn't really be disturbing the airflow going over the wings of his car. And there he is right there. You can see the back end's just starting to walk itself, and that's what we call a loose race car. The back end wants to swap ends with you, and it certainly did there.
And Sam Hornish climbs out of the car. Two of our spotters had suggested that Herta might have been part of that, but it was Sharp and Scheckter as they were moving on one another, and then right behind him was Sam Hornish, and right in front of him was the wall.
Now, we talked a little while ago about the 3 guys that didn't pit, that needed that pit stop, Manning, Lazier, and Herta. And right now, this falls right into play for them because they were getting very close to their fuel window because they didn't pit during the last yellow.
Well, they're going to give Sam a little bit of assistance. Doctor, of course, is right there, ready, able to help. The IRL and the Delphi safety team they're so good. Often the emergency trucks are rolling even before the car stops sliding. And you saw too a moment ago that the pits are ready for service. It's not good, is it?
No, when the car comes around like that and slaps the wall, sometimes you end up getting your ankles or knees caught inside the cockpit.
All right, they're on pit road. We start with Todd.
Dario Franchitti coming in. He comes in first place, so this is going to be a critical. Remember, the last pit stop, they had a problem with the fuel line, and they've got a new man on the right rear from Dan Weldon. They got him out clean. Doc?
Major air pressure adjustment, significant understeer for Tony Kanaan. Didn't have time for a wing change. Kanaan changes air pressure, and he's down and away. This should be the final stop if we stay green. Final stop of the day for the leaders.
Finally, the black and yellow car of Herta comes out. So does Jacques Lazier. And we go on board with Adrian Fernandez.
Good job, guys.
Good pat on the back for the team.
Well done, you guys. That was awesome.
Tony Kanaan stuttered a little bit coming out of the pits. So let's take a look at the line. This is the blend line. There comes Fernandez, first out. Franchitti, by the way, already long past it. Sharp, not a factor. And then comes Elio Castroneves and Tony Kanaan, Dan Weldon. If Kanaan hadn't had that little stutter coming out, he might have been in better shape.
Well, that stutter was because the pit box in front of him was pretty full with number 17 Mira, and what ended up happening is that he had to get off the gas to be able to get around the equipment.
And now Schechter back on the pit road. Fernandez in fourth, out in second. Todd.
What they're saying is when he pulled out, Thomas Schechter, when he pulled out, he broke his half shaft. So once again, the Chevrolet Pennzoil has been snake bitten.
Exactly. Unbelievable. I'm surprised, though, if it's broken, that he got all the way around without any damage to the car.
Well, you know, the transmission, we've had a problem with that earlier before this year where they ended up having the problems inside the gearbox. So right now, these guys are not very anxious to get working on this race car. It tells you they know that it is terminal. And as a driver, you know when something has gone wrong, you can report back. And if he has broken a half shaft, you would just coast into the pit like he did. These guys are putting the cool cloths on the bodywork because the bodywork is so hard that tells you the day is done for these guys.
Well, again, the observer's report is that there may actually be parts from the half shaft assembly out on the racetrack, as Thomas Schechter has got to wonder what he can do now.
Let's go back now. Look to the right side of your screen on the left rear tire. It's not spinning, Scott.
Absolutely. As you say, the right is spinning. You can see the smoke coming off that jack, and the left one is not really moving that much. Maybe there was a problem even before we went to exit the pit lane.
CV joint, some sort of power disconnect there.
Guys, they said he broke the left side, and that was the problem. You were exactly right, Scott and Jack. The right side not spinning. He broke inside the left, and that was the problem.
You guys are on top of it. That's the ambulance with Sam Hornish Jr. They're going to take him back to the infield care center and take a look at him. You saw him limping, and they had to set him down before they loaded him into the ambulance. So we'll keep track of that. That would count as the second injury of the day, first driver injury. We had the Franchitti crewman. Mike had his problems, Mike Miller. Let's go back down to Todd.
Well, we're trying to get in here with Thomas Schechter, and right now he is watching it on videotape exactly what happened. I think he's as surprised as anyone else because he was driving, and the way it was going, he thought everything was just fine, and then it broke loose. Thomas, what exactly happened, and what was your indication that something was wrong?
Well, I just came out the pits and the drive shaft broke, so the engine was revving and it's pulling to one side. So again, another weekend, but I have to thank Chevrolet Pennzoil, put a lot of hard work in, and we just have to carry on working hard to see if we can get a next race.
We just talked to your trainer, Chris Carmichael. He said you're probably one of the most fittest racers on the planet. What is the reason for all these snake bites? It's just unbelievable.
I'm not sure, and maybe I can spend some time with the guys at Carmichael and they can rub off some of that Lance luck on me, and hopefully we can get it together next couple of races.
All right, wish you best luck. We'll see you next week.
Yeah,
Paul?
the difference between an average man and a guy like Thomas or Kanaan or anyone one of attitude. He's already figured out how to move on and go to the next challenge rather than doting on that just completed. The field now being cycled out and around Johnny Rutherford and the pace car, and they'll come back to green in one lap. And with those stops, they're good all the way to the finish.
That's what all the drivers know right now. They're inside the cockpit. They know that they have no other opportunities to make any changes on the cars. They certainly hope the tire adjustments and the wing adjustments that they have done are going to be absolutely perfect for the remainder of the race.
Now they're going to have to live with it now. Franchitti, Fernandez, Castro Neves, Canan. They're the top four. Jerry Punch.
Veteran engineer John Ward made a wing adjustment on both sides of the front for Adrian Fernandez. Adrian a little bit tight in traffic. This is the run for the checkered flag. Loosen me up so I can dive in traffic. Here we go.
They put the pace truck back out and then now put it back in, so Dario Franchitti has control of the field. And don't forget, at the end of the race, you'll have a chance to chat with the winner. All you have to do is log on to ESPN.com and search IRL, and you're on board with the chat session.
Get ready. Get ready. He's on it. Green, 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 green.
Franchitti answers the green. Fernandez just behind him. Scott Sharp is not in the fight. Tony Kanaan goes low on Sharp. And now the red and white car of Dan Weldon comes low on Sharp as well. And that's Darren Manning in the red and white number 10. Those guys are all together.
How that last stop paid off for Manning. Remember, they pitted out of sequence. Now they're on the same sequence as everybody else with fresh tires and fresh fuel.
Brian Herta, that black and yellow car, gets caught up behind the number 8 of Scott Sharp, darts to the inside, tries to get down under the red 20 of Jacques Lazier, and Lazier shuts the door on him. Now Herta has to backpedal. Eddie Cheever's cars come side by side. Back up toward the front. Weldon and Manning. The battle is for fourth.
Right along with Manning, you can hear the rev limiter just at the end of the straightaway, just going up against that 10,300 RPM rev limiter.
See Townsend Bell and the John Manville car slowing down. He's being called into the pits because he jumped the start.
And the indication was that there were 2 cars going to be called in. One turned out to be the 2 car in as a result of jumping on the start. Will Franchitti stay in front? We'll see.
Pikes Peak International Raceway. Dario Franchitti continues to lead, and Roger Penske has been backed by the care center. Roger, first of all, how is Sam Hornish?
Well, Sam's okay. I went in the hospital. I think he banged his knee a little bit in his right hand, but seemed to be fine, no issues.
What happened to him? It looked like the car was running so well.
Well, it was hard to see on the television. It looked like he was going to go back under car 8 and maybe got out of the throttle, and the car got light on him, and he spun it. There was nobody around him. It was just one of those unfortunate things. We were running real well, and just that's racing.
This is the kind of racing. This is the kind of racing we're accustomed to seeing out of Marlboro Team Penske.
Couldn't hear you, Jerry.
Okay, it's very loud. We'll let Roger get back up and watch Elio Castroneves, but the good news is Sam Hornish is okay, guys.
Yeah, the one Penske car left. The crowd enjoying it. And don't forget Show Me State Showdown when the St. Louis Rams take on the Kansas City Chiefs. 2 high-powered offenses will go head-to-head on Monday Night Football in a preseason special. That's tomorrow night at 8, 5 Pacific on ABC Sports Championship Television. On board second place, Adrian Fernandez. Dario Franchitti is the leader of this run. It's been an interesting race and costly for some key players. We'll take you back to the start of the run where Tony Kanaan, as a result of practice speed, because qualifying was rained out, started on the pole, and a half a lap later, Buddy Rice lost it got the wall, got it big time, damage to the right rear of the car. It could not be repaired. And then it was Dario Franchitti that came forward, and then Sam Hornish came around Dario to pick up the lead. But Dario had his problems. Look at this. Again, a problem in the pits and a torn ligament for Mike Miller. And they diagnosed him after going to the hospital. Then Dario went back after Sam Hornish and took the lead back. And then Sam Hornish got into trouble, up into the wall. Pretty solid hit. And you just heard the report from Roger Penske on him. And then Thomas Scheckter, see that left rear not turning at all? Something in the powertrain there. His day was over once again. So, this is the battle for the race. Andretti Green Racing's Dario Franchitti, the winner at Milwaukee. That was his first race to win. And Adrian Fernandez, who won a week ago, his first. They battle. Honda Power in the top three. The current points leader is Tony Kanaan. He's the fastest car going around here the last couple laps, and he sits in third place, followed by his teammate Dan Weldon, then Darren Manning, Vitor Meira, and Penske car Elio Castroneves. We'll take a look at speeds at the line. Got a feeling that one's going to stay there too. Adrian has been very fast. A little group in front helping one another with speed though, aren't they?
Cars always go faster when they run nose to tail. Remember that lead car always breaks the air.
Just that quick as a lap. Isn't that incredible? That was a mile.
Well, for Dario Franchitti, this is an important race because it was in the race that was held in 2003. In June, though, because it was a schedule change, he got out of the cockpit of this car and he said, I can't stand it anymore. My back is in so much pain. He submitted to that tricky back surgery so he could get back in the cockpit. He won at Milwaukee earlier this year. If he could come back and win here, it would be a full circle. I guess you would call that symmetry.
And that would be nice for the Flying Scotsman, wouldn't it? The nickname that used to apply to Jimmy Clark. Colorado, Jacques Lazier here in Pat Patrick's 20 car, currently running in 8th place. Started back in 14th. His best finish in the 4 races this year was his 15th at Kentucky, and he had a Pikes Peak best with a 9th in 2000.
Paul, I spoke with Steve New this morning, the team manager and engineer, and he said, you know, we sort of wanted to qualify. I thought that we might be able to qualify as high as 12th. Remember, their Chevrolet Power, smaller budget, not a lot of testing, but these guys have really done well. They're very pleased with Jacques Lazier.
And based on the weather the last 2 days, which had heavy thunderstorms in the middle of the afternoon, starting about a half an hour before time right now, today has been absolutely beautiful. And if things go right without any other cautions, we will come back after these messages to run clean and green all the way to the finish. Will Franchitti roll out in front all the way? In the points battle for the IRL championship, we came into this race with Kanaan in front, followed by Rice, Dan Weldon, and Elio Castroneves. Rice, with a terrible day, was out early. And the fight has ended up between Franchitti, Fernandez, Kanaan, and Weldon. Will Kanaan stay in front? Little question of that. Can he stay in front all the way to the end of the championship? That's the question that remains to be answered in the next few races. As it is right now, Kanaan extends his lead. He came in here with a 50-point lead, but with Rice's problem, of course, Kanaan is able to extend. Rice will stay in second, and after this race, there will be a maximum of 200 points left in the series. It's going to be tight. 205 laps complete, 20 to go. The leader is this man, Dario Franchitti, and we're going to stay with you right through the checkered flag. And really, for the first time today, the lead is spread out just a little bit. Spread out to us is 1.8 seconds from first to second. Franchitti, even though he's given up the lead, as you saw there, he's 108 laps in the lead, 109 now. Look at the names out of the race, including Buddy Rice. Buddy Rice really had his work cut out for him, starting back in the 6th row on the inside today. And the drive was predicted to be a little desperate, but not as desperate as it turned out to be. Buddy trying to come through traffic, and with Thomas Scheckter up on the high side, got it into the wall early on. Here's Vitor Meira, Buddy Rice's teammate, currently in 6th place. Lone hope for Bobby Rahal and Dave Letterman right now. And a driver that we've said it before, we'll say it again. We all think, very much like Kotsky Matsura, is due for a win before this season is over. Matsura, by the way, is down in 13th right now. He had an incident yesterday and banged the car up really good and had to start in the back regardless. And his day hasn't proven out to be that well. 2-car bell in and out. The leaders will have no need whatsoever to head for the pits. Full fuel, good tires. Everybody will run to the finish now, 15 laps away.
And for this guy, these are the longest 15 laps he will run.
Franchitti does have some protection. We mentioned Kosuke. There he is. Now, these are cars that took a little bit of chance on different fuel and pit stop strategies, having to stop now.
Paul, you mentioned about Kosuke's accident just yesterday. I was watching Dario Franchitti, who's our leader. Kosuke said to me this morning, just my left shoulder's a little bit hurt right now, and he said what we need to do is just to make sure we go out there and finish the race.
Andretti Green Racing with Dario Franchitti out in front. He's got a little protection too because his teammate Brian Herta is between Franchitti and Adrian Fernandez. Wonder what Michael Andretti is thinking right now.
Well, Michael, this has got to feel a lot like Milwaukee.
Yeah, it does. You know, Dario's doing a heck of a job out there again, and again, the whole team is. You know, we got Tony up there, and hopefully we'll take advantage of Buddy's mistake there and get some more points. So far it's so good. We just got to get to the end now.
Does it give you the added confidence knowing that Brian Herta's got his back door?
Oh, absolutely. Brian always, you know he'll take care of his teammates.
Good luck. Paul?
So Dario Franchitti now looks at just 10 laps to go to his second win in the IRL IndyCar Series. His first came at Milwaukee. And how about success on the mile tracks? Most of it belongs to Andretti Green Racing, and it looks like it just may again today. Dan Weldon moves on his teammate, Tony Kanaan. TK likes to refer to Weldon as mini-me, a little version of him. And that's Manning closing on Kanaan as well.
Can see how violent the driver feels the car going over the bumps from the steering wheel. Kanaan makes a little bit of a bold move, trying to show it down low.
You're clear. Nice job.
All right, so now is Tony Kanaan defending, or is there an issue here?
Well, you know, he probably wanted to get down low. He knew he didn't get off turns two very well, as we see Felipe Giafoni coming in.
This will be routine too. Giafoni 16th.
Felipe's wife Alice is now back in Brazil. They're expecting their first child in October. He says, you know, found out that it might come a little bit earlier, it might even come on a race weekend. I've had that happen before. It's not a very popular thing to tell your wife.
Franchitti extends his lead. Now 4.5 seconds, going for 4.6. Franchitti, then Fernandez, then Weldon. Weldon just may have his sights on Fernandez now. Oh, yeah, he does.
Wait till it's a top. Take it easy. Take it easy.
I think that exchange was coming from the pits down just to be calm and take it easy, and you could hear Adrian saying, how can I take it easy? That means he's not happy with the car right now, guys. And he knows there's 5 laps to go, so he's clicking it off, and he says only 10 more turns.
Another one of the drivers in the series. Like all of them, I'm trying to think of one who you wouldn't consider fully athletic and very fit. But Adrian,
4 laps to go.
absolutely one of those. You heard the call, 4 to go now. The fight's going to come here between 2nd, 3rd, and 4th to a degree. Franchitti is unchallenged, a full straightaway ahead of the rest of the field.
Interesting note what just happened there with Franchitti and up ahead, and now obviously with Fernandez leading this group of 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. He came upon his teammate. His teammate pulled right over to the left-hand side and got completely out of the way, so he wouldn't disturb Fernandez's opportunity to continue in 2nd.
The way they run now, Franchitti, he might have, and it'll be a reach that he will catch traffic before the end of the race, but it should not impact him in any way. Franchitti solidly out in front, now being chased by a 3-car battle for 2nd place. Fernandez, Weldon, and Manning. Reinhardt, the starter, has white flag, 1 mile to go for Franchitti. But look at the fight for 2nd as it tightens up coming to the line. Weldon thinks he has a chance here, and he just may have it. Franchitti on the backstretch. He hammers it into turn 3. No traffic in front of him. Weldon is not going to have the chance either. Franchitti comes to the line and takes the win, his 2nd of his IRL career. Fernandez 2nd. 3rd is Weldon. 4th is Darren Manning. Nice drive for Darren Manning. 7th win by Andretti Green Racing this season. And Franchitti will move up 1 position to 5th in the point. Dario Franchitti has taken the win. When we come back, some celebrations, some good times, some good talk. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC station. Well, in the Honda Indy 225 from Pikes Peak International Raceway, Honda finished 1st through 3rd. Dario Franchitti, the winner here, the 2nd win of his career in the IRL. His first one came in Milwaukee just a few weeks ago. Let's go down to Jerry Punch.
And Dario Franchitti has climbed out, getting a big hug from the Honda engineers down here. Dario, outstanding performance today. Congratulations.
Thank you. It was tough. The track lost a lot of grip out there, and we were sliding around, but I had the best car today, and that really helped. My last pit stop was awesome. I just found out one of my guys got hurt in the first stop, Mike Miller. So if you're watching this, Mike, you're still my hero, and I hope you get well soon. And to Alex back home, congratulations. Alex and his wife had a baby, so pretty good week for AGR, and I couldn't be happier right now.
When did you know? We saw you when you climbed out of the car yesterday in practice with a huge smile on your face. Did you know then you had the car to beat?
I was hoping this morning. The car felt really, really good, but I went out a bit too hard in that first stint. I learned my lesson after that, though, because the car got pretty loose. So I just calmed down the second stint, and from then on, when the yellow came out, bunched us up, I knew we had the car to win.
Michael Andretti, we talked about the fact that since your team was formed 2 years ago, you have won every single race on a 1-mile track but one. Total domination.
Well, that's awesome. I didn't know that, but it's a great fact to have, and it's just an awesome day, you know, for the whole team. We were able to get in victory lane with Dario with an awesome job with the ARCA X crew, and then we get another podium with Dan, and Tony hung in there and got us some points again for the hopefully extend his lead a little more over Buddy Rice. So it was a good day.
Dario, we got to ask you, a year ago you came and drove this race with a broken back, and really no one knew about it but you, and suffered the pain, but a big difference a year later after the surgery.
It was a lot more comfortable today in the car, I'll tell you that. But you know, there's a lot of people stood by me, Mike, Kevin, Kim, all the guys at AGR, the guys at Honda, and I got to thank them because it's, you know, it's been a long year. As long as we can keep this kind of form up, it'll be, you know, everything's worth it. The surgery was definitely worth it because I'm really enjoying my racing.
Where's your good luck charm, Miss Ashley? She was here yesterday. She had to leave, or she's trying to get here to you to give you a big hug?
No, she's at she went to a yoga retreat yesterday, so she's hanging out there. You know, she'll be back for Nazareth.
Okay, he wins it for the second time this year, both on 1 mile tracks. Dario Franchitti, a winner here, gets the big hug from Michael Andretti. Guys?
This was after they crossed the line. Little congratulations from the near side, Adrian Fernandez, and that's Dan Weldon, number 26. He finished in 3rd place, and he remains 3rd in the points, Todd Harris.
Well, I'm proud to announce that Dapper Dan Weldon's hair is coming back, and that's maybe the most important thing. And Dan, has actions taking place down on the track. Tell me about the race today.
That was really difficult. I mean, the car was changing the whole time over a duration of a run, but I think it's a really good result for Andretti Green Racing. I think Dario's got another win, so that's good for him. But I'm certainly trying to gain points on Tony, but every time I finish in front of him, it's only by a couple. But no, a fantastic day. I think the Klein Tools Jim Beam car was strong, but just not quite strong enough. But nonetheless, I had a lot of fun. It's a difficult place, this.
You got out, you looked a little disappointed. Was that because you thought you were going to get a run on Adrian Fernandez and pick up second?
No, I think ever since I woke up this morning, I felt sick as a dog, and I still do. So I think that's why. But no, it's a good achievement. To come 3rd in any IRL event is a very good achievement. But obviously, we've got to try and build on that. I want to increase my win tally because Dario's equaled me now.
As we look towards the rest of the season and the way the AGR team is running, you guys almost look to be an unstoppable force.
I wouldn't say unstoppable. I mean, there's a lot of teams that can challenge us every weekend. I mean, you've got Target Chip Ganassi Racing, you've got Penske, you've got Fernandez. There's a lot of good teams out there. So it may look like that, but I think what we've got right now is we've got 4 drivers who get on very well, are very good from the standpoint of pushing one another forward. So from a team standpoint, they should be very, very, very gracious. But obviously, we're gracious for having the good equipment. But it's working well. I think the atmosphere is excellent, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of jokes played tonight.
Congratulations, Dan Weldon, 3rd place finish. Paul?
You're probably right, Dan, and they're all going to be on you. There is a caution on the track, and this is the reason. This is the stage. They have a great show planned here at Pikes Peak. The subwoofers with Kenny Breck are going to play, and then Leanne Rimes, who you saw do the national anthem, is scheduled to perform here. And they're trying to put the stage in place and got the stage into the wall. Now, Scott Goodyear, can you analyze this for us?
Well, you know, I think I just flat saw the tractor actually lose contact with the stage. Now, watch this. This stage will actually just do a hanging left. I guess maybe it got loose, guys.
Yeah, that was the reaction that we heard on the crowd during the interview.
Watch this. Here it goes.
This would be a push, though.
Oh, yeah. You know, and a good thing. Look at those guys. Good things they're not going to get hurt.
Boom!
That's, you know, that's what we call a moment in motor racing.
Obviously, Scott, they needed more rear wing on that stage.
Fortunately, they didn't have to send out any of the Delphi safety teams. Everybody's okay. Here's the unofficial results for the Honda Indy 225. Franchitti, Fernandez, Weldon, Manning, and Kanaan. The points leader comes home in 5th place, but considering the fact that Buddy Rice came home 22nd, it really protects Kanaan's lead. We'll be back. Now, this fall, the benefactor is looking for the contestant with billionaire qualities. After the game starts, the minute they walk through the door, who will pass his test for success? The benefactor premieres Monday, September 13th, and only on ABC. And look at that sky as we show you the points. They were so afraid of it earlier, and the storms never came through here. Tony Kanaan extends his lead a bit by 18 points over Rice. Now sits 68 ahead of Buddy Rice. And Tony Kanaan looking so good. Let's go to Todd Harris.
All right, thank you very much, Paul. Well, last week he wins Kentucky. He comes out this week and backs it up. I know you would have loved to have gotten first, but you gained 2 positions in the points. That's got to be huge.
Absolutely. We're carrying a huge momentum since last race. I think everybody's really healing together, giving us great cars and outstanding car that they are giving me. And I'm able to push, to have confidence on the car, and I think that's the whole key.
So many people knew you had the talent when you came over to IRL, but as a co-owner, did you know that it was just only a matter of time before you got the momentum and got it rolling? You certainly did that in Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean, I knew we can win. We was just a matter of understanding more about the car. We were a little like a mile off in some of the super speedways, and we just couldn't get there where we needed. We had problems on restarts and everything, but I mean, now we're one of the best on restarts and on some other things. So the weak points, we really make a big stride to make them better, and we're very, very strong, and I'm so happy and proud of my guys.
Well, you had the best view the way Dario Franchitti was running today. What was he doing that was so special? It just seemed like he was untouchable, especially in the last 50 laps.
I think if I would have managed to get in front of him, I think we would have won the race. The key was that, and I pushed very hard on the restart, but he went flat out, and I went flat out, and I just didn't have enough for him. And my car was very good in that first 5 laps, but after the run there, at the end of the run there, at the end of the race, my car was very loose, and I was just hanging on there.
You were doing such a great job. Did you know how close Dan Weldon was coming up on you?
Oh, I know. Yeah, I saw that. I said that's why I was trying to get Kosuke out of the way, so I have a little bit clean air there.
Congratulations. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
And let's send it over to Dr. Jerry Punch with Tony Kanaan.
Thank you, Todd. And Tony, before you climbed in the car, you told me I need to lead some laps and gain some points. You did both today. Pretty good run for you.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we chased the car all day, but when I saw Buddy out, I said, well, I need to finish this race for sure. We need to capitalize on the points, and we tried to make it better, and it was better in some points of the race and worse in others. And 5th place is not bad for the points.
You gained 18 points, now 68 between you and Buddy Rice. Can you breathe easier with still 4 races to go, or you have to think about it every week?
No, we're still thinking about it. I think it's still wide open. Anything can go wrong for us too. So let's just keep doing what we're doing. I think we're doing a great job. It's another win for Andretti Green team. I'm happy for Dario again. We had 3 cars in the top 5. So the 711 team did a great job putting me there today. And let's go to Nazareth.
You said there was a record you wanted to get today. You had to lead 30 laps to get the record. You led 29 to tie Tony Stewart for the most laps led in a single season. I mean, what an all-around great effort for this team.
For sure. I mean, obviously we're tied now with a good thing. We have 4 races to go. So if I lead one more lap, I think I pass him. But it's amazing, isn't it? I mean, we had to lead 30. We led 29. But I'll try to lead at least one more lap by the end of the year.
He will be the all-time lap leader in the single season in IRL history before the year's out, and might just become an IndyCar champion. Guys?
And one of the great things about Andretti Green Racing is the teammates support very solidly one another. Tony Kanaan will be eternally happy that Dario Franchitti actually won this race here today. We've got more, and we'll be back. ABC's Monday Night Football officially opens its 35th anniversary season with Super Bowl champions the Patriots take on the Indianapolis Colts. Plus, NFL opening kickoff celebrates the new season with a special featuring Elton John, Destiny's Child, Lenny Kravitz, Jessica Simpson, and Toby Keith. It all comes to you Thursday night, September 9th at 8 Eastern, 6 Pacific on ABC Sports Championship Television. Sam Hornish led this thing for a while. Looked pretty good, didn't he, Jerry Punch?
Sam Hornish looked very good, Paul. In fact, he led 67 laps, and he's limped out of the hospital. We're going to let him sit in on the wall. First, let me ask you, Sam, how's the knee?
Knee's okay. Just a little bit banged up, but it's part of, being 6 foot and being crammed in the race car, but just something that always happens when you're back in the wall with these cars.
What happened out there? We couldn't really see if someone cut you off or the car just broke free. What happened to you?
Just running in traffic. The car was really good, and, just kind of snuck up on me a little bit. We'd had a little bit of a push up until that point in time, and was following Thomas and Scott in there, just trying to get set up to go around them, and just back end kind of stepped out, and I saved it about 3 times, and it just kept wiggling and couldn't keep it stay underneath it, I guess.
Not since Homestead have we seen you and your teammate Elio Castroneves be this much of a factor during the race. What's happened to this team in the last week or so? It seems like you think things are really coming together. You're coming on.
It's hard to tell. We were real good at Richmond too, and just couldn't put it together. It's just part of the deal. We've had some bad luck this year and had some stuff that we induced on ourselves, but this Marble Team Penske team just keeps trying real hard. These guys are working super hard on their pit stops, trying to make sure that they get me in and out ahead of people, and that's exactly what we had today. Just shame that one yellow came out, because we were checked out, and I don't know if any of them would have caught up, but doesn't always work your way, I guess.
Well, take heart. I know you couldn't see it, but you made the man smile. Roger Penske sitting on this pit wall, talking to you lap after lap with a huge grin from ear to ear. He liked what he saw. Hey, good luck to you at Nazareth.
Thank you.
Sam Hornets, let's check in with Todd Harris.
All right, thank you, Doc. I'm here sitting on the wall with Darren Manning, who equaled his best finish, a 4th in Motegi in Japan and a 4th here today. And Darren, I have a feeling if there were a few more laps, you would have given a run for the boys in front of you.
Yeah, we were coming on strong there a bit at the end there. Our car's really good. You know, the guys put a great setup on the car. Everybody on new tyres tends to do about the same sort of lap times, and as a really good handling car, you get 10, 20 laps into it, then you see who's got the good cars, and that's when we would come forwards or they'd come back to us. So, yeah, no, you never know. A few more laps, I might have stuck my nose a bit further underneath down there a little bit.
Scott Dixon not having the day, but it seemed like the problems followed him from the day he got here.
Yeah, you know, he rolled off the box pretty good. You know, he was second fastest in first session. It just went downhill for him all the way after that. You know, I pretty much kept the same setup and just tweaked it, and he just couldn't get happy with it all weekend. And I think he was just so loose and undrivable in the race there for him. So, yeah, real shameless. You know, he might have been up there with me.
The key now for the Target Ganassi team is keep this momentum running into Nazareth. How do you feel about that track?
Oh, great. You know, we like the short tracks, as you see here, and we performed pretty well until we went in the wall in Milwaukee. So the short tracks tend to suit us, you know, whenever you've got like handling and drivers to take a big part of it. So, you know, we had a good Toyota test there, and, you know, at least I'm going to a track that I know which way it goes. You know, I came here, I didn't know which way it went, left or right. So, no, we should be good there.
Congratulations, Darren Manning, 4th place at Pikes Peak today. Let's send it up to Paul Page.
And that's the highest finishing Toyota in the field, the 4th place of Darren Manning. Elio Castroneves finished in 6th place, and when we come back, we'll be talking with him. We'll take another look at the unofficial results. We'll also try to get you an update on the stage. They haven't gotten it off the wall yet. We'll see what's going on down there. We'll be right back. The last time that Elio Castroneves climbed the fence in victory was at Nazareth, Pennsylvania Speedway, 1 year ago, in a victory over to be his teammate Sam Hornish. Well, next week, that's where we are, Nazareth Speedway, and coverage is on ABC Sports. But right now, he's with Jerry Punch.
And that brings back some great memories for this guy. Last year at Nazareth, we're going back home where you won the last time and climbed that fence.
That's right. I mean, it's been a long time, actually, since I climbed that fence. But I guess, I mean, we're trying our hardest, we're trying our best. The Marble Team Penske is doing just a phenomenal job, you know. So today, it's a good position. It's good to still be there in the championship, holding on. And we're kind of hanging ourselves there. But, I mean, the good news is that we're still looking okay.
Top 2 for most of the afternoon, and then with 40 to 50 laps to go, you began to fade. What happened?
Well, we made a little adjustment on a front wing, and when we went outside of one of the restart, it was like 3 wides, and I was the guy on the outside, so I probably would crash. So I back off, and obviously when you back off here, like 4 cars pass by. So we're still able to keep okay, but and then another pit stops were great. The guys did a phenomenal job, and then we were like in 3rd, and we had a back marker right in front of us, and they said, okay, go outside. So I went outside, but he went outside too. And then I went up like 4 cars again past me. We were in 7, and then finally we were able to pass one guy, finish top 6.
I know it's been a disappointment this year, considering the fact that you guys typically can dominate and win a lot of events, but even Sam said with 4 to go, good things are ahead these final 4 races for Marlboro Team Penske.
That's right. Looks like the championship is a little bit farther than we expect. We're realistic, and I think a win is very close. You know, you have to be consistent if you're running 1st and 2nd the race. I mean, seems that we're going to get some. You know, hopefully we are right there. And Nazareth, one of the tracks that might favor us. So, guys, cross the fingers.
Good luck next week in Nazareth. Maybe you'll go home and climb that same fence again.
I'll do my best. You can count on that.
Elio Castroneves coming home with a respectable 6th place finish here today, guys.
And Jerry Punch, you know, the drivers coming up in their careers always try to copy drivers like Elio Castroneves. That happened today, Jack, in the Menards Infinity Pro Series.
B.J. Chesson won in Kentucky a week ago, and he duplicated that feat today and then pulled an Elio. Climbed the fence. A veteran of the world of outlaws and sprint cars, there was a time if he climbed the fence when he was a driver, Paul, it would have meant he was going after the starter.
Yeah, and that was a great come-from-behind finish, too. He really charged forward, a show worth watching with Jerry Punch. Let's go over to Todd Harris.
All right, Paul Page, born and raised in Vail, Colorado. I think he was one of those spoiled ski child, but out here today, a top 10 finish for Mr. Jacques Lazier. Jacques, your car was moving in the middle of the race.
Yeah, quite the change from the airplane ride back from Indy. Yeah, no, I mean, it was an absolute great run for us, for Patrick Racing and for Chevrolet, and you know, everything for the first time this year, everything's worked in our favor. We had all the yellows fall in our place, and you know, realistically, an 8th place finish with this team, with how much they've struggled this year, is like a victory for us. So I'm just very proud to be a part of Patrick Racing.
What do you think it is? The factories, it seems so cyclical with the Toyotas, the Hondas, the Chevrolets. Do you think the Chevrolets are making the turn now?
I think they're definitely making the turn. I think also on top of that, it's the first time we've had the chassis working well enough where we could really optimize the engine as well. So, you know, we're starting to work a lot closer with Chevrolet. They have some stuff in the works. Hopefully that'll be in time for Fontana. And, you know, so, but realistically, we go to another short track, and with the run we had here brings a lot of confidence to this team that going into the next race that we're going to be strong there as well. And then we have 3 races to go, and we'll just kind of see what happens.
I take it the elevation didn't bother you today.
No, the elevation didn't bother me at all.
All right,
know,
thanks.
I had a big high listening to this crowd. It's just unbelievable crowd out here.
All right, congratulations, Jacques Lazier. You and your brother Buddy both racing these mountains. Let's send it back up to Paul Page.
Yeah, and his brother Buddy was a ski champion in addition to winning the Indy 500 in '96. At the Indy Speedway this week, they started tearing the asphalt off of the surface, and yeah, there are over 3 million paving bricks were originally laid down underneath there, and they're going to resurface the whole thing. We'll be back right after this. Well, the Honda Indy 225 started out with them lined up based on practice times because qualifying was rained out, and Buddy Rice got in trouble.
Rice wanted to come to the front, made major changes on his car in the last practice, and it didn't work out.
Took him out of the race on the first lap, and then Dario Franchitti came on strong, took the lead. Sam Hornet came back at Franchitti and took the lead away from him. Then on a pit stop, watch on the right side of the screen, Mike Miller, jackman and bent on that car, ended up with some torn ligaments as a result of getting nailed by the car in their incident in the pits. Sam Hornish has to give way once again to Franchitti, and then Sam Hornish himself got in trouble. Pretty good hit with the wall. He was limping, but you heard that he feels he's okay, just a consequence of being tall. And then Thomas Scheckter, once again, out of the pits, powertrain problem to the left rear, and Scheckter out of the race. That left it open to Dario Franchitti to take the win for Andretti Green Racing and Michael Andretti, a full 4 seconds out in front of Adrian Fernandez.
And who picked Mr. Franchitti to win today? Dario Speedwagon.
I did, didn't I? I can't remember.
I've got the list here, guys. That one's got to go to Jack.
Darn. 3 yellow flags today, 25 caution laps, and Franchitti leading the predominant number of laps in this race, Scott.
You know, it's what a driver always wants to do, is come out here, lead laps, and finish up front. That momentum's going to carry into the next 1 mile track that we go to. A very tough track again at Nazareth. Jerry?
Well, Kenny Breck sits here, and Buddy Rice, his sub, was having a good year, but Kenny, Buddy's chances for the championship took a big hit today.
Yeah, they did, you know, but it's still 5 races to go, so anything can happen, I guess. But it's, or 4 races, so we'll see. It's up and down in the championship. You know, you can't be running good everywhere, but he's been doing, the whole team, Rail Ellerman, Pioneer Honda team, has been doing a good job all year, so, and Buddy too, and, you know, you have those weekends sometimes.
You know, after what's happened with Andretti Green with 4 cars this year, I know Bobby Rahal was telling me before the race he'd like to look at a 3-car operation next year. And I guess the more cars and with all the chemistry you guys would have, be a pretty formidable team.
Yeah, I mean, this year has been really a good year for the team. And if you can run another car and have a, you know, sufficient personnel and quality in it, that would be all the better. It's, I think probably 3 cars is, you know, 4 cars, it seems a little much to run, but 3 cars probably is the ideal number. I don't know, but it's possible doing.
Now, you're not here as a driver, although you're here in support of Rahal Letterman. You're here because Kenny Breck and the subwoofers and Kelsey Smith beside you here, your lead singer. You guys are getting ready to perform for this crowd that came in and jammed their way in to watch IndyCar racing today.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm still driving. I'm driving Kelsey around. I'm a personal golf cart driver, and and help the band out with some local transportation around here in Pikes Peak. But yeah, we're going to do a little show here pretty soon.
All right, Kenny Breck and Kelsey Smith will be entertaining the local crowd, and before Leanne Rhymes gets a chance to tune up here in a few minutes. Paul?
Yeah. And this is Buddy Rice. He had a chance to go over to Fort Carson and get into a Bradley fighting vehicle.
Yeah, and the report is that Buddy Rice did donuts in this Bradley fighting vehicle. Got to shoot off a lot of ammunition after posing with all the people over there at Fort Carson. Took home a souvenir, a 25mm cannon round. Don't think I want to fly with him tonight.
Let's go down to Todd Harris.
All right, just give you an update on the accident, or the incident that took place down here in turn number 4, which our good friend Scott Goodyear so aptly pointed out on the telestrator. That is Leanne Rhymes' stage. It is into the wall. They can't move it with all the gear on it, so they're taking the gear off Leanne Rhymes' stage, booking it down here. Kenny's stage is okay. He's all set up, ready to go. So while Kenny and the subwoofers are playing up there, they're going to move Leanne's stage behind it and hopefully get the gear back on top and set to go. And so that's how it's going to play out. Paul?
So much for our backstage passes. We got the passes. They've got no stage. Oh, man. Yeah, it's still sitting against the wall down there. And the crowd's sticking in for it. And the weather is staying good for it, though we've seen some flashes of lightning over the Rockies. It appears that all of the worry from early in the day of what might happen turns out to be the weather guessers once again have managed it. No, it's actually, as you look west from the track, that's a pretty good shower that's coming through there. And off in the distance, Pikes Peak off to the right of that would be Cheyenne Mountain. And Pikes Peak, of course, famous for the climb up the hill. And Bobby Unser, 13-time winner of this race, here today, being eloquent as always.
Well, today is history here at Pikes Peak, but this man here has a 68-point lead with 4 to go. And Tony Kanaan, Nazareth, Chicago, California, Texas. What are your thoughts?
4 races to go. Let's take it one at a time. But you know, it was great day for us today. Definitely extending the lead a little bit, but it's still wide open, and we'll see what's going to happen.
You're a man who always looks at the big picture. How much will you think about what could happen in about a month and a half, you becoming an IndyCar champion?
I'm not trying to think about it right now. It's just, you know, it'll be my dream come true, but still a long way. So hopefully I'll keep dreaming to myself, and when that day comes, if that day comes, I'll let you guys know.
We'll be here to help you chase that dream, my friend. Good luck.
Thank you. I hope you guys are going to be part of it for sure.
His dream continues. 68 points and 4 races to go. Todd Harris?
Well, 45 minutes after the victory, Dario Franchitti's still taking phone calls from VIPs and celebrities. I can only imagine who he's talking to. And Dario, 45 minutes later, your final thoughts as you think about your second victory of the year.
Well, it's calmed down a bit now. I don't know. It's one of those races. We thought we got the car pretty close today. We certainly had to balance a stint, if you know what I mean. You couldn't go out too quickly. You had to keep everything underneath you. And you know, the last pit stop was key. That got me out front. We managed to get away at the restart, and that was great. You know, sad point today. Obviously, Mike Miller, my event guy, hurt himself. Oh, didn't hurt himself. I was sent, and my rear wheel, I think, collected his leg and hurt his knee. So yeah, that's the sad point of the day. But you know, I'm going to give him a ride home. So hopefully he'll be okay.
Mike Miller, torn ligaments, but he's going to be okay. More importantly, Dario Franchitti moves up in the top 5 in points. Congratulations, Dario. We'll see you next week. Paul?
Thank you.
And Dario Franchitti, the winner here. What do you think, Jack Garrett? Did Buddy Rice throw his championship possibility away?
Well, it's certainly a possibility, but you heard from Tony Kanaan. He's not going to concede and say he's won the championship yet. And I hate to say it, but Scott Goodyear was right, and I was incorrect. At the beginning of the show, the 4-car AGR juggernaut certainly paid off today.
Yeah, Andretti Green Racing proving powerful. We want to show you the unofficial results again. Scott Goodyear, you pointed out at starting, having a 4-car team has a definite data advantage, if not a strategic advantage.
Certainly does. Under the testing constrictions that we have right now, you don't get a chance to test at all these tracks. 4 cars on a racetrack on a weekend. A lot of data going in for these guys and these engineers to actually look over to make the perfect race car, which Andretti Green had today.
And with 1,213 miles left to go in this season and 200 points available, Tony Kanaan has a 68-point lead over second place Buddy Rice. Kanaan has actually raced every lap of this season, but today it really belongs to Dario Franchitti. He had a dominant run in the race today, and we congratulate him as the winner of the Honda 225. We're back next Sunday live at 2 o'clock for the Firestone Indy 225 at Nazareth Speedway. ABC Sports is online at ESPN.com. Search ABC Sports. Coming up next, except on the West Coast, ABC News World News Tonight, Sunday, or your local news. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. I'm Paul Page for Jack Arute, Scott Goodyear, Todd Harris, and Jerry Punch. We hope you've enjoyed your time today with the IRL IndyCar Series, and make sure you join us next week on the East Coast, the 100th race of the IRL. It's the Firestone Indy 225 at Nazareth. We'll see you then.